Boys, we are back with my favorite brand, and that is Volkswagen. When most people think of Volkswagen, they think of the people's car, such as the Golf, Jetta, Passat, and Beetle. But Volkswagen for years have been making a fun, sporty 2+2 front-wheel drive hot hatchback that enthusiasts could not get enough of. This car is called the Volkswagen Scirocco, baby, and if you guys have not seen or heard of this car before, well damn son, sit down and pay attention to this episode. My father owned one of these cars back in the 80s, and his first experience with this car was him literally launching the car off of a snowbank.
Scirocco, the hot one.
Now, if you guys have seen the Scirocco commercials before, I would say Volkswagen is pretty happy with him doing that. So if you guys want to see one of the coolest and most beloved Volkswagen sports cars, sit back and relax as we dive deep into all you need to know about the Volkswagen Scirocco. For all of you who don't know me guys, my name is Andrew and welcome to all you need to know about the Volkswagen Scirocco. If you are new to the channel, go down below guys, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. It would help out with the YouTube algorithm and placing the video higher so more people can actually see this video and understand and learn about the Scirocco. The Scirocco, Volkswagen's 2+2 sports car that brought some excitement finally back to the brand. The name Scirocco is derived from the Mediterranean wind that comes from the Sahara Desert and can reach hurricane speeds. Personally, I think this is pretty fitting for Volkswagen's top-of-the-line sports car during this time. But you're all here to learn why Volkswagen built this fun, enthusiast-oriented car, and when the next Scirocco will be built. To understand this, we need to start from the beginning. In the early 1970s, Volkswagen began working on the new car that would replace the aging but beautiful Volkswagen Karmann Ghia. The idea was to launch the Scirocco alongside the Volkswagen Golf, but in a low volume production number. Designed by Giulietto Giugiaro, I probably butchered that, he used the inspiration of the new Golf and Passat to help design the new Scirocco. Originally, Giugiaro showed the designs to Volkswagen as the new Karmann Ghia Type 14, but soon after, Volkswagen changed the name to the Type 53 internally. The plan was to take the new A1 chassis that was shared by the Golf and the Jetta and underpin the new Scirocco. Since Volkswagen was busy working on the release for the upcoming Golf, and the Volkswagen Karmann Ghia was basically out the door at this point, coach builder Karmann took on the financial risk to develop and actually produce the new Scirocco. Almost every part of the car was re-engineered in favor of the new styling, which was sleeker and sportier, relying on more of a wedge shape than the upright angles found on the Golf. Finally, in 1973 at the Geneva Motor Show, the Scirocco was shown to the world for the first time. The Scirocco went on sale in Europe in 1974 and in North America in 1975. This launch date was 6 months before the new Golf models would drop. Volkswagen planned this to help resolve any troubles during production before producing the high-volume Golf. Honestly, this was a really smart move by Volkswagen and it paid off big for them. The first generation Scirocco was produced until 1981, with few special edition cars being built during the Scirocco's time, such as the Scirocco GTI, which was the first ever Volkswagen to get the GTI badge. Now, all of you may be saying, Andrew, how about the Volkswagen Golf GTI? Well, guys, the Scirocco actually got that GTI badge 3 months before the Golf ever did, technically meaning that the Scirocco is the OG GTI. Pretty cool little fun fact for you guys. Some even rarer Sciroccos were built, such as the Champagne Edition, which only came in white with black accents, and a Zender front splitter. The Sidewinder and Sidewinder 2, which got its name from the Texas rattlesnake, also were special edition cars. This car came with a special air dam, special seats, special speedometer, decals, and black trim. Another special edition Scirocco was called the Scirocco S, which was only available in 1981, and this came all blacked out with chrome trim, Recaro designed sports seats, white leather tires, sports stripes, and a standard 5-speed transmission. The last special edition Scirocco that would be released for the first generation would be the Scirocco Storm, which was only available in 2 colors, and each color had 250 cars produced in those colors. In total, Volkswagen sold more than 500,000 units of the first generation Scirocco worldwide, which was, I personally think, a really big success for a car that was supposed to only be a low volume production car. The second generation Scirocco went through a heavy redesign internally. They called this the Type 53B. When it went on sale in 1983, although it still remained on the A1 platform, they did make some few improvements to this car. The second generation, they added, obviously now, larger front and rear headspace, increased luggage space, and also a lower coefficient of drag. Pretty awesome improvements for the car. The most noticeable feature of the car would be its rear spoiler, mounted midway up the glass on the rear hatch. There was literally hundreds of trim options for the Scirocco, but the limited edition Sciroccos are what most enthusiasts really loved about the car. These included the White Cat, the Tropic, the Storm, and the Wolfsburg edition Sciroccos. Scirocco sales continued in Europe until around 1992. The Scirocco was replaced by the new and peppy Corrado, sadly, after this point. In total, 291,497 units of the Mark II Scirocco were produced, sending off the Scirocco with a bang, but the Scirocco would have a re-emergence. The third generation Scirocco would be launched back into production in 2008 and come out with a bang, winning the Car of the Year in 2008 by Top Gear magazine. The third generation Scirocco finally brought the model into the 21st century and bumped up the power with the Scirocco R. The third generation Scirocco would not see a reemergence in the North American market due to Volkswagen not being able to price them competitively, and they did not want to compete directly with the Golf lineup in North America. Sadly, the third generation would only last until 2017, when they were discontinued with only 280,000 cars being built. All in all, Volkswagen produced over 1 million Sciroccos worldwide, which is a pretty impressive number for a low volume production car. But compared to the Golf, the Scirocco really couldn't keep up. Well, one thing that really distinguishes the Scirocco over other Volkswagens is its more sportier and wedge shape over the traditional Golf. This gives the Scirocco a more stylish and sporty look over the Golf, which they carried this design throughout all 3 generations of the car. The first generation Scirocco came with the same engines and transmissions found in the new Golf, from a 1.1 liter up to a 1.6 liter in Europe and a 1.7 liter in North America. The VW Scirocco GTI put some actually good performance numbers down for the days, so let's go ahead and let's talk about this car specifically. The Scirocco GTI came with a 1.6 liter inline-4 8-valve engine that made 109 horsepower at 6,100 RPMs and 101 foot-pounds of torque at 5,000 RPMs. This allowed the car to do a 0 to 62 miles an hour in 10 seconds and reach a top speed of 116 miles an hour. The second now generation Scirocco got some boost in performance, but to be honest, Volkswagen gave a billion options for this generation, and the second generation Scirocco was basically almost the exact same as the first generations, especially the Scirocco GTI. There really wasn't much of a performance increase in this car. Volkswagen did do one special project though. They worked with Audi to develop the Scirocco 16-valve, and this car got some upgraded performance, guys. Audi took the 1.7 liter inline-4 and upped the valves to now 16 valves, which jumped the horsepower up to 136 horsepower at 6,300 RPMs, and max torque was at 118 foot-pounds of torque at 4,500 RPMs. The 0 to 62 was now dropped to 8 seconds, and the car could do a top speed of 131 miles an hour. This motor would be used in future Volkswagen models such as the Golf, and for the Scirocco, this motor woke it up so much that really gave it that extra power that the Scirocco was missing. With the third and final generation dropping in 2008, Volkswagen introduced both a 1.4 liter, a 2.0 liter TSI, and a 2.0 liter TDI engine to the Volkswagen Scirocco lineup. The fastest Scirocco that would be produced would be the Scirocco R, which made 261 horsepower at 6,000 RPMs and 258 foot-pounds of torque at 2,500 RPMs. Paired with a DSG transmission, this car could do 0 to 62 miles an hour in 5.7 seconds and reach a top speed of 155 miles an hour. If you compare this to, say, the Mark 6 Golf R, the numbers are very similar, minus that the Golf R had obviously an all-wheel drive system, while the Scirocco had a front-wheel drive system. As you can see, as the generations progressed and technology improved, so did the performance numbers. The one thing to note from this is the engines used in the Scirocco are the same motors that were used in the Golf platform, which has really stuck true throughout the Volkswagen's origination and idea for the Scirocco. Choosing between, say, a Golf guys or a Scirocco, I personally think will really come down to style rather than performance, because as I mentioned before, you're basically going to be getting the same motors. It just really depends, do you like the Scirocco styling over, say, the Golf styling? What makes the Scirocco the Scirocco? Well, Volkswagen racing history with the Scirocco really is what makes this car stand out from other, say, Volkswagen models. With motorsport being a great way to show off a car in North America, Volkswagen entered the Scirocco into the Trans Am tournaments, taking home first place guys in this tournament in 1977. They also competed in the Volkswagen SCCA, creating the Scirocco Bilstein Cup Series, which led Volkswagen and the enthusiasts to state the Scirocco was truly exciting, everyday sports car that anyone could buy. This really boosted the Scirocco's reputation and showed that Volkswagen knew what they were doing when making a small hot hatchback sports car. In later years, Volkswagen would reintroduce the Scirocco by making the Scirocco GT24 to compete in the Nürburgring 24-hour race. Volkswagen also then would go ahead and create the Scirocco R Cup, based in Germany. The first series took place in 2010 and only lasted sadly until 2015. This series hosted many retired Formula 1 and World Rally Championship drivers, which gave them a great competition to compete in. Volkswagen decided to replace this event with the Audi Sport TT Cup in 2015, finally retiring the Scirocco from racing. Throughout the car's life, Volkswagen Motorsport was always playing and trying to innovate new things for the Scirocco. First, Volkswagen Motorsport played around with a 16-valve G60 motor for the Scirocco, but this motor never made it into the Scirocco. Instead, it made its way into the successor of the Scirocco called the Corrado as a 8-valve version of that motor. Volkswagen Motorsport also was playing around and made a bi-motor Scirocco in 1983. This car, guys, is crazy. It came with two brand new 1.8 liter performance tuned motors that made 180 horsepower each and redlined at 7,200 RPMs. These motors were linked together by two 3-speed automatic transmissions, which now gave the Scirocco all-wheel drive and could rocket the car from 0 to 60 miles an hour in 4.1 seconds, which could also beat a 911 turbo to 110 miles an hour and was also quicker than the Audi Group B Challenge Sport Quattro. Damn, that's pretty crazy, guys. At the same time, Volkswagen and Audi guys were actually in different racing teams, so this would have been the perfect competitor for the dominant Quattro that was basically winning all races during this time period. The car would have been such an amazing car to watch race, and most likely, I personally think this would have dominated the competition. Obviously, the design and engineering that would have gone into this car would have not really made it practical for the streets, but just the concept and the ability of Volkswagen Motorsports to come up with a design like this, I just personally think it's amazing, guys. You guys, hats off to you. Great design with this car. So what are Sciroccos going for? The Scirocco has loads of history and has made it pretty sought after by Volkswagen enthusiasts and owners today. Comparing the Scirocco to, say, all other Volkswagens that we have talked about throughout this series, I would say the Scirocco is probably the most affordable car you guys could buy. If you are looking for a Mark I or Mark II Scirocco in good shape, they can range from $4,000 all the way up to $16,000. The price will really depend on the mileage and the condition of the car, but if you are looking for the OG Scirocco, this is the car for you, and they are perfect opportunity for you to get into the car community. If you're now looking for, say, the Mark III, the newest generation Scirocco, and you guys live in the US, sorry, guys, you're not going to be able to get one of these cars. In Europe, the Mark III Sciroccos are holding their values, I would say, pretty well. The lowest option Sciroccos are priced around £9,000 all the way up to £14,000, while the more beautiful and sought after Scirocco are selling between £7,000 with really high mileage and £30,000 for really low, basically brand new Scirocco Rs. Overall, the value of the Sciroccos really fluctuates on the mileage and the condition of the car. So personally, for me, I would love to own a Scirocco R, but like I said earlier, guys, I'm not going to be able to own one of them. I live in the US. Probably the next time I'll be able to own them is once our 25-year import ban comes into effect. Maybe I'll have to consider buying one of these cars. What do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think if you're in Europe and if you guys love the new generation Scirocco. Modifications, guys. So since the Scirocco has been built off the Golf platform, the Scirocco is an incredibly easy car to modify. All the Mark I and Mark II Sciroccos use many of the same parts found in the Mark I GTIs and can easily be swapped in and out if you guys want to go ahead and do a motor swap or something like that. The new Mark III Sciroccos with the 2.0 liter turbos found in the Golf R is a perfect platform to modify. You can see people upgrading the suspension, adding big brakes, turbos, and really pushing some real power out of these cars. I personally wish that we had, like I said, in the US, the Mark III Sciroccos, so we could have the opportunity to modify and work on these cars ourselves. Yes, it is basically the same thing as a Mark VI Golf R, just with front wheel drive, but there's just something different about the styling of the Scirocco R, and that I really feel Volkswagen enthusiasts in the States would really enjoy this car and love it and cherish it. What do you guys think? If you guys live over in Europe, I'd love to hear what modifications you guys do to your Scirocco Rs. What do you guys recommend? And let us know what you guys think. Are we missing out? Because I personally think we're missing out on a great car over here. Even though the newest generation Scirocco never made it over to the North American shores, this car is one of Volkswagen's best 2+2 cars built to date. Volkswagen enthusiasts love the old school Mark I and Mark II Sciroccos and can be seen all around the Volkswagen show scene today. The Volkswagen Scirocco is more than just a car. It is a staple that showed Volkswagen can make a fun, sporty car that the average person can afford. This claim can be backed up by the countless Trans Am wins and the championships made specifically, guys, for the Scirocco. It is really cool to see that Volkswagen was willing to bring back the Scirocco name, but the third generation Scirocco did not last as long as I would obviously hope, with production ending in 2017. Volkswagen will most likely not make another Scirocco since it competes so closely with the GTI on price and performance. If they would ever, I would say, make another Scirocco, I really think they're gonna have to go and make something out of the box. What do you guys think? What would you love to see from the next generation Scirocco? I'd love to hear what you guys think. Maybe let's throw a VR6 in there, Volkswagen. Let's change it up and see what the Scirocco can really bring to the community. I hope you all enjoyed this look into the Volkswagen Scirocco. If you guys enjoyed this video, go down below, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. If you want to see more All You Need to Know episodes, let me know in the comment section which cars you guys would like me to select, and I will pick them out for you guys. Until next time, guys, my name is Andrew, and peace out.